right, so it's 11 o'clock. We'll just go ahead and get started here. Maybe if I get rid of that, then you can see my screen. But if you have any questions or anything, please put them in the chat. So good morning and welcome to Webb's DOK and EdTech Tools. My name is Erin Warren and I'm an instructional coach for technology for the Ohio Valley ESC and a member of the Remote edX Tech Team. So we are a group of area ESCs who have joined together to provide free instructional coaching and technology to teachers for free, and who doesn't love free? So I've provided a QR code and a bit.ly for you to access this presentation that you can review later, because there are some links to some things that you might want to look at later. So if you want to scan the QR code that you see on the screen, or again, I have the bit.ly, which is bit.ly DOKANDEDTECH21. And this should link you up to our presentation for today. So I'll leave this on the screen for just a couple more seconds, but don't worry, there will be other opportunities to get these as well throughout the presentation. Okay, just some housekeeping tips. Please mute your microphone during the presentation. If you have any questions, please just place them in the chat and I will do my best to address them while we are presenting. There should be a few minutes at the end of the presentation for questions and answers. So if you can wait until the end, that would be super. Please type your first and last name and where you're from in the chat. That way we can kind of see where everybody is from. Also, there will be a Google form for attendance. And I believe I just put that in the chat. This is for attendance purposes of joining our webinar today. So you can click on that. If you have any questions or any information, you can always email me at erin.warren@ovesc.org. And if you can also do that to obtain your CEU certificate for today's workshop as well. If you visit ecoe.sc/techcoach, you can learn more about the Remote edX project and to schedule a time with one of the 6 instructional technology coaches. We have a Google Classroom where all of our recorded sessions will be placed, and you can use the join code ZBIPRIJ. And just a little word of caution, you would probably need to use a personal Gmail account to access that Google Classroom because our school accounts, sometimes that blocks that. So again, I'm just checking here real quick. I can see everybody. Great. All right. That's wonderful. Okay, so let's get started here with a little poll, a little bit of discussion. On a scale from 1 to 3, I would like for you in the chat to just put how much technology do you use in your classroom on a daily basis. So we can put 1, that we never use it, or 2, sometimes we use it, or 3, all day, every day. So let's see, I'm going to pull up the chat here. Okay, good. Awesome, we got some 3s. Great. Oh, I hope I don't disappoint all of you 3 people today. Some 2s, some 1s. All right, hopefully I can change your mind. All right, that's awesome. So thank you for your participation, and we'll see what we can see as we're going through here. Okay, so let's get started with Norman Webb's and the depth of knowledge. Now remember, when we are using this model, what we are wanting to do is we want to help create learning opportunities that hit a variety of learning levels. So for example, we all know that we have different learning levels in our classroom, and we just want to make sure that we are addressing these levels in the classroom. So when we go with the DOK level 1, we're talking about our basic recall questions. So what is the knowledge? The who, the what, the where, the when. What do we want the students to really know and recall? DOK level 2 is your skill and concept. What skills are you wanting the students to use? What are you wanting them to do? How can you arrive at this answer? DOK level 3 is strategic thinking questions. Why does it happen the way that it happens? How can this knowledge be used? And then level 4 is extended thinking. What can you design or develop or do with this knowledge? What else can you do with it? How can you extend their thinking out? Now, level 4, you might only have 1 or 2 like in-depth level 4, because not every lesson is going to have extended out to level 4. It'd be awesome if it did, but just for sake of time, you might not have those. So when I'm thinking level 4, I'm thinking about research projects, project-based learning, things to that extent, and learning for the students in that way. All right, so the thing that we always want to start with, no matter what we're doing, no matter what technology we're using, is we want to start with, what is the goal? What do you want your students to do or learn? And then once we determine the goal, then you go and choose the ed tech tool to help you achieve that goal. So sometimes teachers, they get overwhelmed in the classroom. They have all of this technology that they want to use, or all the stuff that they're using, and they're like, I can't do it now. Well, maybe if you go back and decide what is it that you want the students to do, then it's easier to pick the ed tech tool. So starting with an educational goal and choosing the ed tech tool that can help you achieve that goal will make using technology easier in your classroom. And again, you might only have 1 or 2 go-to tools, and that's totally fine, because there are many, many uses for these tools, and it will help you determine what you and your students can do. It's all based on your comfort level. So our goal for today's presentation is to increase your ed tech tool belt to find a variety of tools and uses of tools to use in your classroom. All right, so let's get started. We have DOK level 1. We're thinking about recall. So when we think of level 1 questions, we're thinking as giving students steps and procedures and asking them to follow along with low critical thinking. So in this case, it's kind of nice to have a computer to do the grading in these instances, because while the students are maybe working off in a station on their own on these ed tech tools, they're still learning. They're getting instant feedback. And that allows you as a teacher to maybe work with another small group or another individual student. And again, everybody's learning in the process. So when we think of DOK level 1 products, we're thinking of like show and tell, label parts of a diagram, vocabulary words with activities like to match pictures to illustrate events, the processes of a story. We can also find information on a map, or use a dictionary, or complete measurement task. So the following ed tech tools can assist you and your students in completing these products and activities. Now, I have a disclaimer here, and I just want to say there are many, many ed tech tools out there, and that can be used for many, many levels. Even the ones that I'm sharing with you today can be used with various levels of the DOK, and that's fine too. But the ones that I'm sharing with you today are ones that I found in my research. And also, I've just come out of 18 years of classroom teaching experience, and some of these I've used in my classroom as well. So I can say that some of these are good ones to use in your room. So let's go here. And again, I provided the QR code because these are linked to the home pages. But the first one that we're going to talk about is Quizlet. Now, Quizlet is a tried and true tool. And again, some of these on this list, you're going to be like, Erin, these are so old. I'm sick of these, blah, give me something new. Well, again, you might find something today that you can use the same tool in a different way. And Quizlet is one of these tried and true tools. You can use this as review in your classroom. Now, the fun thing about Quizlet is you can do this as a teacher, or you can have your students do this as well. They can be making the set of flashcards for the vocabulary words. Maybe give them a group a set of cards, and then they do their group. They can share it with another group who shares it with another group, and then you can have the whole set that the class is reviewing together. You can also use specific skills from Quizlet. So you can put a skill on one side and maybe how to do it on the other. Kind of gives them some ideas. Quizlet can also be used for assessment. It's graded automatically, so you can use this to assess students to see where they're at certain skills. When it's graded automatically, the students are getting feedback, and that's aiding in their learning. Students can work together or they can work by themselves. And you can always differentiate. You can have a group that works with one set of Quizlet cards, maybe a group with another, and you can kind of go through there. And then, of course, there's Quizlet Live, which is really fun. You can have competition and engagement in your classroom when the kids are playing against each other. So that's Quizlet. The next one we're going to talk about is Kahoot. Now, again, Kahoot is another one of those tried and true ed tech tools, but you can use Kahoot in your classroom to play review style games with and for your students. You can create your own Kahoots, or to change it up a bit, maybe have the students create Kahoots. They can maybe come up with review for an assessment, and then as they're playing the Kahoots with each other, some of those Kahoot questions you might put on the actual test itself, kind of keep them on their toes a little bit. Oh, is Mrs. Warren going to pick my Kahoot or my question to put on the test? Kind of something to get the kids involved. You can also use Kahoot to check for understanding as a formative assessment during your class. So again, you can see where the students are at. Are they getting the information or not? Excuse me. You can have your students team up and compete against each other. And again, they can always just create their own. Sometimes there are pre-made Kahoots on there that you can just use them as a brain break. And who doesn't need a brain break during the day? Some of them can be really, really fun. All right, the next one is Pear Deck. Hold on just a second. So Pear Deck can be used to turn your slide presentations into interactive activities. So again, you can ask what the students already know about a subject or a topic. Pear Deck can be used to draw mind maps or have students create new endings or outcomes to stories. You can also use Pear Deck to predict outcomes of what will happen next. Students can use Pear Deck to put items in order, label parts of a diagram. Some of the options that students can use to answer the interactive questions is entering a text or a number, choosing from multiple sources or multiple choices, interacting with live web pages, and with a premium membership, drag a response or draw a response and then drag an icon to a specific part of the slide. So all of these activities, all of these things are things that you can do for level 1 DOKs, and you can use these with Pear Deck. Quizzes. Now this ed tech tool can make formative assessments fun for your students. Quizzes can be assigned for a quiz, for a lesson, or for homework. Students can practice the concepts during the day, or you can recap learning of what they learned through the day and clear up any doubts that they might have. You can also monitor the class progress with detailed reports that come with quizzes. And again, this can be played live as well, where they can compete against each other. All right, our last DO1K tool that we're going to talk about is Formative. Now, Formative is free for teachers. So if you sign up for Formative as a teacher, it's going to be free. However, if your school or district wants to track data, that will be a cost that they can use as well. So Formative is where teachers can build your own assessments or assignments. You can choose from a library of resources, or you can create your own. And basically, you're just coming up with questions that the students are working on. You can choose the type of questions that you want them to answer. You can do a show your work, you can do a draw, a type, or upload your images or screenshots. So after you make your Formative and you push it out on your LMS system, you, the teacher, can get onto Formative and you can see in real time how the students are answering their questions. So again, maybe you can see, hey, they're not getting this, or, oh, I need to go and help them, or, hey, they're doing really well today. That's something that you can see in real time. So again, if you have questions about any of these that we've talked about, I know I've went through them pretty fast. You can always sign up for a time with one of our ed tech coaches, and then there might be some time at the end as well. So on this slide, I included the QR code because on this one, if anything's linked, it's going to take you to the homepage of this ed tech tool. If it's something that you want to explore on your own, that would be great. Okay, so let's move on real quick, do we have any questions? Is everybody still good? Okay. All right, so let's go to DOK level 2. So in DOK level 2, we're talking about skill and concept. This is where you're wanting the students to figure out how to do something. There is still an answer key for the students to use, and the technology can help you, the teacher, in grading the low critical thinking questions. Some of the possible products for DOK level 2 are timelines, demonstrations, relationship mind maps, survey development, science logs, diary entries, graphic organizers, blogging and commenting, and spreadsheets, to name a few. Some of the possible activities include creating timelines, flowcharts, cartoon strips, outlines, summaries, developing a concept map or diagram, explaining a series or steps to find a solution, writing a diary or blog entry, making a puzzle or a game, creating questionnaires or surveys, or have a collaborative discussion in Google Sheets. You can reteach vocabulary words with a podcast and collect data to show on a table, graph, or Venn diagram. So here's some ed tech tools that you can use for DOK level 2. Now, again, there are so many out there, and a lot of these can be used within the different levels, but these are just ones that I've come across or used in my classroom. So the first one we're going to talk about is Flipgrid. Now, fun fact, later today, there will be a session about Flipgrid. So that might be something that you want to join in and tune into to get more information. We'll just do a real quick preview through here. So Flipgrid is a free K through 12 video sharing tool. There's lots of things that you can do with Flipgrid in the classroom for all grade levels. One of the things I want to talk about today is how you can use it as a share book review. So what you can do is you can have the students read a book. They would record themselves on Flipgrid giving a review of the book. Within Flipgrid, there's QR codes that you can print out. They can print those out, tape them to a book, and then when another member of their class goes and gets the book, they can scan it, and then it's like a little review. They can see what their peers saying about the book. You can kind of use this as an alternative book report day, where you would have the students make posters. They could put their Flipgrid QR codes on there, and then the students can do a gallery walk and scan the codes and see what each other is saying about their books. So that's just something fun that you can maybe use with Flipgrid. Another way to use Flipgrid is to pick a topic and have students debate or defend their side. Now you are allowed to comment, and other students are allowed to comment on Flipgrids, but if things get out of control, of course, you as a teacher can always turn that feature off. Students can create virtual vocabulary walls to record meanings of important vocabulary words. It can be used to activate prior knowledge, to share what you know about a topic or unit of study before you begin teaching. You can also use Flipgrid as an exit ticket to share what students have learned in class. Students can create virtual field trips with Flipgrid to kind of show the places that they like to see and do in their community. And then that kind of builds community in your classroom as well. So again, tune in. I believe Leslie is having a session on Flipgrid, so tune into that later today, and I'm sure she can give you a lot more fun information on that. Our next tool is the Google Applied Digital Skills. Now, this is a free curriculum from Google, and what you would do, it's designed to help students learn 21st century skills. So learning how to build life and job skills. This free curriculum is designed for students in middle school to college and beyond. It allows teachers to assign projects to students where they watch step-by-step videos and then work on completing the assignments. So far, there are 148 projects in the Google Applied Digital Skills realm, and they continually add new projects pretty frequently, it seems like. So this is an easy to use platform, and learning can occur not only for the students, from the teachers as well. I know in my classroom, when I did a Google Applied Digital Skills, I would do it with the students. That way I was kind of learning, sharpening my skills, seeing what you can do, and it's actually kind of fun. So some of the projects range from creating resumes to making pixel art, which I did do, and that is a lot of fun, to creating college spreadsheets to compare and contrast collages. So again, there's a wide range of applications to pick from when you use this platform. So this one would be a good one to check out as well. Okay, the next one is Google Jamboard. Google Jamboard is another tech tool to try for DOK level 2 and other levels as well. It's a collaborative online whiteboard that has many uses for teachers and students. Teachers can create jams for students to highlight text and create shapes for each to stand for something. You can also take a piece of text, put it on a Jamboard, and then have the students use sticky notes to annotate that text, whatever you're trying to study within the class. You can do sticky note brainstorm when you're trying to come up with ideas for research or projects. Students can work collaboratively on this, or they could each have their own Jamboard as well. Posters can be created about topics on Jamboards, and students can insert images and graphics. Graphic organizers can also be created on Jamboard to give students a place to think and organize their thoughts online. Now, if you don't really know where a Jamboard is, if you go to your Google Drive and you look under the new in Drive, it should be underneath the more. If you don't see Jamboard, then you might need to ask your IT or your Google admin to add it, because it is a fun thing that you can do with students and collaborate with others. All right, moving on to Google Drawings. Google Drawings allows users to collaborate and create real-time images, infographics, flowcharts, mind maps, timelines, and any other images. You can create graphic organizers with drawings to allow students to see things visually. So both you and your students can create things within Google Drawings. You can create mind maps to brainstorm new ideas, break down concepts, or take notes. Teachers can create digital badges and share them with students when they reach learning milestones. So maybe if they meet their AR goal, you could make a little badge and send it to them, and then they could be all happy with it. Google Drawings can be used to create infographics to represent data and concepts learned in class. Drag and drop lessons and activities can be used. And sometimes you might just want to do another brain break activity and say, hey, let's just get on Drawings and see what we can create, and allow the students to be creative of things that they can use. So that's Google Drawings. All right, we have one more for DOK level 2, and that's Google Sheets. So Google Sheets is the online spreadsheet tool. It can be useful for both teachers and students. So as a teacher, you can use Google Sheets for a digital gradebook, maybe keep a class supply list of things that you have, or create rubrics for student learning. Students can use Sheets to keep research materials organized. They can categorize and track their progress. Students can also use Sheets to record answers to surveys they create using Google Forms for projects. By thinking creatively, Google Sheets can be a good addition to the classroom learning process. All right, so if we go back here, again, we see that we always want to remember what our educational goal is. What do you want the students to learn or create? Once you've determined your goal, then you can choose the EdTech tool that works best for you. So again, this slide has some links that you can click to, and you can explore and try to see if they're good fits for your classroom. Remember, these can be used in different DOK levels. And when you decide your educational goals and outcomes, you can pick which EdTech tool to use. They can all be used at various levels, but you, the teacher, have the power to make that decision of how you want it to work in your class. All right, so
Erin, I want to stop you for just a second. I need to make sure that everyone in the call is muted. We have at least one participant who does not have their microphone muted. So we are hearing those. Thank you. I appreciate that. Sorry, Erin.
No, you're fine. That's a great time, because now it's poll time again.
Aha!
So we kind of got to the halfway point. And so let's see, let's check in with everybody. I would like for you in the chat to rate yourself of how you're feeling so far with what we've covered. Are you 1? Are you overwhelmed? 2? Are you feeling good with what you're learning? Or 3? You can't wait to go to school to try these tomorrow. So how are we feeling so far? Oh, goody, I got some 3s. That's wonderful. 2s and 3s. That's awesome. 3s, great. Love it. All right, so hopefully I'm not overwhelming any of you so far. That's what I like to see. Great, 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 great. And again, you can click on these later to kind of see if it will work for you or not. All right, so we're doing great on time. Let's keep on going here. We have DOK level 3. So now we're getting into some strategic thinking here. We're expecting the students to get the answers wrong in this level of teaching. So the key is to provide actionable feedback to students to help them take their critical thinking and analysis further. So we're thinking that students are thinking, they're getting some feedback, and then they're thinking some more. So some possible products that students can create are complex graphs, videos or podcasts, debate from a given perspective, develop storyboards for film or cartoon animations, multi-paragraph essays or short stories, literary critiques, plays, books, movies, or music review, informational report with several subtopics creating websites and fact-based arguments. And some activities include design, conduct, or critique investigations to answer research-based questions, write essays or short stories, poems or plays, prepare a speech, create complex graphs or databases, make a brochure, make a movie trailer for a class novel, or write a letter to the editor, to name a few. Again, students are thinking, they're getting some feedback either from you or their peers, and then they're thinking some more. So what are some tools that we can use for this level? And again, these can be used across the levels and all 4 levels, or however you want to use them. So the first one we're going to be talking about, let me check this chat real quick. Oh, that's all right, Kara. It's all good. And we're going to start with a Google Doc. So again, Google Docs, this can be a collaborative tool to use in the classroom. It's good to help improve students' writing skills, collaborate with others, share or publish the work, or liven up your assignments with images or visuals. I think what we all learned throughout all this remote experiences is the good thing about docs is it can be worked online and offline, especially if you have the internet issues that you have. As a teacher, you can use Google Docs to translate letters home to parents. If you have students with second languages that English isn't their language, you can still communicate with the parents using the Google Doc. So again, a lot of collaborating, sharing, going back and forth with feedback to kind of get the students thinking about what they are learning. All right, next is shared Google Slides. Now, students can do so much more than just make a presentation in Google Slides. You can make interactive presentations with questions and answers using Pear Deck or maybe another add-on that you can use as well. Students can work together and share presentations while making storybooks. If you're a middle school teacher, you can maybe have your middle school students make storybooks for upper elementary students, or maybe upper elementary making storybooks for elementary, or high school making for middle school. There's a lot of collaboration that you can do between grade levels, between classes, just using Google Slides. Google Slides can be used for digital notebooks or for making vocabulary lists using the Freyer models. So what you could do is you could create a slide deck with vocabulary words. Each student would have a slide. The vocabulary word would be in the middle. Then maybe in the upper left-hand corner, you would have the definition, the upper right-hand corner, the part of speech, the lower left-hand corner, maybe a sentence using the word, and then the lower right-hand corner, you could have images about the word. And again, each student would have their own slide with the word, and you can have a class vocabulary deck that the students can go through and study to get ready for assessments. You can also create comic strips using Google Slides, or choose your own adventure activities. I know we talked about that in forms already, but you can also do it with slides as well. And you can even have a place to share your morning announcements or your daily messages to your students. So again, there's so much more that you can do than just make a presentation. that makes it interactive for you and your students. All right, the next one we're going to talk about is Google Scholar. Now, Google Scholar is useful for upper middle school to high school students. This is a search engine that allows the students to research scholarly articles, publications, and other reputable sources. So students can learn proper citations in MLA, APA, or Chicago style. So this is a very useful research for research projects and teaching students how to conduct proper research. So again, if you're wanting them to really dig deep and to think, Google Scholar gives you those sources to allow students to do that. So again, that one would be a good one to check out as well. Okay, next we have Google Sites. Now, Google Sites is an easy platform to create a class website or just to have a place to gather information. So both students and teachers can create a Google Sites. Students can use it to create student portfolios and collaborate on group projects. Art students can take pictures of what they created and put it on their site. And then that kind of makes a digital portfolio that if they are applying to art school or just college in general, they can kind of go through and see the growth that they have. Music students can use it for the same way. Band students, maybe even having it for your writing, like your portfolio through the years of writing. You can all place that within your Google site. You can also use Google Sites for like your labs for science. Instead of having maybe something typed out, each section of the site could be the research, could be the data, could be the graphs, and you could just go there and check out what the students had done. Students can also help build just class knowledge. You can just say, okay, we're doing this unit today, so let's just everybody put in their information that you're learning off of Google Scholar, and let's see what we can come up with. Now, teachers can use Google Sites to post announcements, calendars, class events, homework, assignments, reading materials, classroom, rules. The list can just go on and on. Whatever helps the classroom run effectively, you can put it on your Google site. And then that way everybody can go to it and see what's going on in class. So it's a versatile site that allows students and teachers to create many different projects, and it has a place that they can share them as well. All right, so once again, we always want to start with our educational goal in mind. Once we figure out what we want the students to do, then we pick the ed tech tool that works best for us. And again, you might only have a couple of these in your pocket, but you can see how you can use these in different levels. You can go back and say, okay, we're going to use this for this today, but then maybe in another lesson, we're going to use it for something else. And that's totally fine. That allows the students to kind of get used to a tool as well, and they can really expand their skills. And it kind of creates less stress on you because you don't become overwhelmed with everything that you have to use. If you have any questions, again, about any of these, myself or the other ed tech coaches would be happy to help you, and we'll get to how you can get a hold of us coming up here. All right, so we made it to level 4. We have one more, and this is the DOK extended thinking. So when we think of level 4, we think of extended thinking and how the students can extend their learning. Again, not every lesson is going to have a level 4, and that's okay. You might only have 1 or 2 deep level 4 projects per year. So when you're thinking a DOK level 4, I'm thinking like research projects, project-based learning, Genius Hour projects, coding and designing. Those are the types of things that I'm thinking about when you're really want to focus on level 4. Anything that a student can connect unrelated ideas, apply learning to a new concept, and analyze or synthesize over multiple sources, you're using the short cycle DOK level 4. So you kind of think summative when you're planning for these projects. Now, again, on this page, a little disclaimer, any of these can be used in any of the levels. And some of them, you might have your own idea of what to use anyway, and that is totally fine. So some of the possible products for level 4 include short films, research reports, newspapers or a series of articles. You can create a play, video game, documentary, multimedia project, anthology of original music, art, or writing. And some of the activities that you can do would be applying information in more than one discipline to solve real-world problems, research to test a hypothesis, tasks that require making multiple strategic and procedural decisions, tasks that require multiple roles and collaboration and coordination with others, like writing your script, your camera work, your editing, your acting, tasks that involve drawing evidence from multiple sources to support solutions or conclusions, conducting an internship in industry where the students are faced with real-world unpredictable problems, and organizing and conducting community service project or school-based events. So again, those are some of the products and activities that you can do with DOK Level 4. So the first one we're going to talk about is Screencastify, but really any video recording tool that you are comfortable with, that would work great in this level. But Screencastify specifically is a video learning tool. There is a free version that will allow you for 5 minutes of free video, or your school district can also buy licenses to increase the video time. It can be used to model instruction and maximize a flipped classroom. Students can use Screencastify to create videos to extend their learning. Virtual field trips can be created so students will not have to leave their class, but see other places that students would like to go to. Again, it isn't the only video recording platform out there, and whatever one you're comfortable with would be the one that I would use. Again, less stress is best. Students can also create their own Khan Academy style videos where they're like teaching or trying to help somebody else and maybe share it with their classmates as well, and have people extend their learning and their thinking. Okay, the next thing that we're going to talk about is CS First. And again, there is a link to this on this slide to where that goes to. So CS First is Google's free coding platform. So students can learn basic video game coding concepts. And what you do when you go to the site is that you would have your lessons and your materials and methods and whatever. They have it all wrote out for you. And then you can just assign the lessons to them, and they're creating video games. It could be racing games, or there's just things that you can pick from that helps them learn how to code and how to design and how to think about, using technology in that sense. All right, Genius Hour. So the concept behind Genius Hour is that students would spend 20% of their class time to pursue projects of interest relating to their passions. So again, you're guiding the students through the design process. What is it that they really want to research? What is it that they really want to do? And giving them the time to actually research and do these things. Students can also complete project-based learning, which allows students to identify real-world problems and come up with solutions to their problems. Any Google application will work for the Genius Hour or project-based learning. So we're talking docs, slides, sheets, forms, sites, anything, because again, they're collaborating, they're working together. You can provide feedback to each other. So they're thinking some more, they're getting some feedback, and then they're extending their learning as well. All right, so again, we always remember we want to start with our educational goal in mind. What do you want the students to create or design? What's the goal? Then find the EdTech tool that works best for you. Any of these EdTech tools that we've discussed today can be used in any of the DOK levels. Depending on what you want the students to create or do will depend on how you use the tool in the classroom. And again, I have that QR code if you haven't grabbed it yet, so because I've linked out to the CS First and Screencastify as well. So the most important thing to remember is that you are the most important element in the room. Technology can never take you away of how important you are to the students. You are the one that's creating the relationships with students to know what they like, what they dislike, what they can do, what they can't do yet, but with growth mindset, they will get better at doing. So don't forget, sometimes paper and pencil activities are best, and that's totally fine too. Sometimes you need to go back to the paper and pencil, but we don't want to just give up on technology. We don't want to be overwhelmed with technology. We want to make sure that we have a plan, that we're following through with our plan. So have a plan, stick to it. If it starts out shaky, that's okay. If it doesn't work today, maybe it can work tomorrow. Regroup, maybe think about, okay, I'll start with another group of kids or another subject, or we'll just start small and then build your way up. And again, just keep those ed tech tools in your tool belt and pull them out whenever you need them. So, oh my goodness, we have covered a lot of information in just under an hour. If you have any questions about anything that we've talked about, we have a few minutes that I can stay on and try to answer any of your questions. If you would like to schedule a time to work with me, please click on the Calendly link, which is calendly.com/Erin-Warren. And what that does is that it will just list times, days and times, and you just click on a time that works best for you. It'll be a Zoom virtual, and we can meet up and chat. It's not only myself, but again, it's the other 6 ed tech coaches as well. So you can do that anytime. We'd be so happy to have you. If you're interested in the CEU credit, please contact me and I can send that form out to you as well. We have the Google link in the chat for attendance purposes. And I thank you so much for joining me today. And I hope you found something that you can use in class tomorrow. I hope you're not all crying in tears because I've overwhelmed you, but I want you to enjoy the rest of this virtual webinar series, and I will see you again next time. So does anybody have, you can unmute if you have any questions or anything. And again, I will paste that link to the attendance form